bipartisan bill starting in the Senate aiming to tear down the decades-old Cuban embargo. No surprise that the name Marco Rubio is not among the bill's supporters. Put a few other people in there as well. News that has happened today, so let's welcome to MidPoint syndicated radio talker, author of several books, including the one that started it all, Stupid Black Men, How to Play the Race Card and Lose. And Newsmax political analyst Larry Elder joins us on the show. Larry, good to see you again.
Good to see you too, Ed. Thanks for having me.
Pleasure, Larry. Here we go. We now have 5 Democratic and Republican U.S. senators introducing a bill today seeking to lift the trade embargo against Cuba. This is exactly what the president was hoping for. Wait a minute. Weren't we always told that there was a lot of opposition to this? This seems like all of a sudden there are people out there saying, give the president what he wants.
Well, I think, Ed, when the president made his first initiative towards Cuba, he kept his head down, got the reaction, and found out it wasn't as adverse as he thought. So now this is the next step. And eventually we're going to have relations with Cuba. I don't know whether it'll be this century or next century, but eventually that's what's going to happen because the young Cuban Americans don't have the same attitude that their fathers and grandfathers have, that people like Marco Rubio have. So eventually it's going to happen. My problem is, what do we get in return? This is how Obama negotiates with dictators. He doesn't get anything in return. The same guy who's negotiating with Iran right now, the same administration that did the Bergdahl deal. This is what bothers me in a fight against terrorists. When you have somebody who gives up the store without getting anything in return, that ought to concern all of us.
So then, if everything is so wrong with this, and if there are so many problems here, Larry, and you've just detailed them all, a lot of the problems that people have with Cuba, why then is it that you have a bipartisan? It's not as if these are all just Democrats, but you have a bipartisan support for this now, saying, "Come on. Time to end it. It hasn't worked in 50 years. Let's get rid of it."
I think you have people like Michael Moore, who did that documentary called Sicko, where he goes over to Cuba and has just a wonderful time. And people like Cubans in general. We have a lot of Cuban baseball players playing here. So people have a positive attitude towards Cuba, are unaware of the political prisoners, unaware of the oppression that's still going on and the lack of freedom that's going on in the island. So people, when they visit, they stay at the high-end hotels that only about 1% of Cubans experience. They have no idea about the gripping poverty because of the asinine policy that have been pursued by those dictators for the last 50 years.
Well, okay, Larry, wait a minute. I'm going to play devil's advocate here on this because you are exactly right. The Cuban government is a very repressive government. There are still political prisoners that are there. People there still have very little money whatsoever to live in. I mean, come on, they've got cars there from the 1950s that are still basically in the new car showroom. But we've known all this for 50 years. There are those people who will say it hasn't worked for 50 years, so do something different. Shake it up. Even if we don't get everything we want, maybe this will force the government eventually to do something to improve their human rights.
You know, Ed, that's a fascinating argument. I can imagine Ronald Reagan saying, well, for 50 years, our fighting the Cold War hasn't worked, so let's just throw up our hands and convert to communism. The fact is that these people are still being oppressed, and if we allow this, we are basically saying it's okay, we'll negotiate with dictators, they don't have to give us anything in return, and we don't really believe in freedom. And furthermore, one more thing I think is going on, Ed, that's pushing all of this. I went to college, and I recall being in college, seeing the Che Guevara posters all over the place. There's this romantic notion that somehow Cuba is an outpost that has gotten worse because of America's repression. And there was this romantic figure named Che Guevara and Fidel Castro, who beat both the United States and the communist regimes. And somehow we should have a no-fly zone over that island and give them the benefit of the doubt. There's that kind of vague historical ignorance that's going on here in this country.
But Larry, I got about a minute left before we take a break. We'll come back and talk some politics here. What's really different at this point? I mean, honestly, there are people who will say it hasn't changed. You keep saying that we want change there. How do we force that change? You can't force that government to be any better on human rights. They haven't done it for 50 years. People will say, how do you change that, Larry?
Well, what hasn't changed is we haven't given a green light to a regime that has denied rights to its people, that has oppressed people, that has put people behind bars without giving them their rights. And if we then normalize relations, what we're really saying is we really don't care about that. That's okay. And I think that has implications going further as far as Iran and other terror nations that we have to negotiate with.
We should point out, too, that in this bill introduced on Thursday, it repeals provisions of previous laws that prevent Americans from doing business with Cuba, but it does not repeal portions of laws addressing human rights or property claims against the Cuban government. So all of this is still pretty much sitting in place. Still another hurdle that's got to be overcome. Larry, I'm going to ask you to hang on for just a couple of minutes here because we're going to take a break and come back. And when we do, he is considered by many to be the one who is the shoo-in well, so to speak, if you can be a shoo-in in February of 2015, to be the next Republican candidate for the President of the United States. Yet there was a comment made by someone who once thought of himself as president that makes it seem as if Scott Walker might not be intelligent enough to be president. We'll talk about that when we continue right here on MidPoint. Let's get back to work. Back to MidPoint. Newsmax political analyst and radio talk show host Larry Elder joins us. All right, Larry, let's get to it here on the political side of things. On Morning Joe on MSNBC this morning, Howard Dean was appearing, and the conversation came up about Scott Walker. And Mr. Dean made some rather interesting comments about the potential presidential candidate, saying that he would not be, or rather he would be, the first president in many generations who did not have a college degree. So how well educated is this guy? And there was an immediate snapback from Scarborough saying, "Are you serious?" And he came back and said, "Absolutely serious." He said that Scott Walker may be unknowledgeable simply because he is not a college graduate. Seems like Howard Dean, I mean, certainly a college graduate, but maybe he's one who ought to take a little bit of a step back here and consider what he is saying, who he is saying it about, because I think if you're reelected governor more than once, you perhaps are a guy who's got a little bit of knowledge.
Well, exactly. And let's remember Harry Truman never went to college, one of our greatest presidents. Brian Williams, by the way, did not graduate from college. Maybe that's not a good example right now. But obviously, Scott Walker has been elected governor of a blue state. He has survived that recall election, gotten the unions to do some givebacks, and gotten people in the blue state to recognize that we've overpromised our government workers. And if we're going to have fiscal stability, they've got to give stuff back. That's a pretty profound thing. And therefore, people like Howard Dean has to drag him down. And let's go back to that good old narrative. Republicans are dumb. Ronald Reagan was dumb. George W. Bush is dumb. Now Scott Walker's dumb. Republicans are dumb. Democrats are smart. Democrats are noble. Republicans are evil. We know how it works.
Well, how indeed does Howard Dean or anybody else know that Scott Walker is unknowledgeable? I mean, first of all, we've got to talk to him a little bit about some of his syntax and some of his English language usage here. But then again, how does anybody know? Because quite frankly, I'll tell you what, it doesn't make a difference whether you're a Democrat or a Republican, Larry. I think we could point to a lot of people who hold public office right now, and some who have in the past, who quite frankly make one wonder whether or not the intelligence level actually was going past the 2 mark on a scale of 1 to 109.
And I think Howard Dean is a walking, talking example of what you're talking about. I'd love to see a highlight reel of some of the asinine things he said. He was talking about a book in the Bible and thought it was in one, whether it was in the New Testament or the Old Testament. He got it wrong. He often makes stupid mistakes, often makes gaffes. And this is a guy, by the way, who got out of the Vietnam War by bringing his X-rays to the place where you induct,
to the induction center,
induction center, and then went out and went went skiing, claiming that he had a lower back injury, and then went skiing all that winter. So this is somebody who ought not be slamming somebody and smearing somebody, given his background.
He may wind up co-hosting with Ronan Farrow next. Let's move on here to somebody who is missing. Hillary Clinton has a very busy March, but all's quiet right now. I mean, Hillary's made a couple of appearances actually in the voter-rich state, as pointed out in the Washington Post, the voter-rich state of Canada. Is she making a good, smart move here? Because honestly, if you keep yourself out of the fray, that's not bad, because we still have a long way to go until you get to that actual election day.
As long as there's nobody like a Senator Barack Obama lurking over the horizon, who's doing a stealth underground caucus campaign the way Obama did brilliantly in 2007 and 2008, she's just fine. Why go out there right now, attract incoming fire? Why do that? Why have any positions on anything and generate negative headlines? There's nobody within 50 points of her from any reputable poll that I've seen.
Wait a minute. Hang on a sec, Larry. Hang on a sec. Here you go. I knew I was going to catch you on this one. This is a report coming out today from populist groups cheering "Run, Warren, run." This is a 2016 election poll from the YouGov poll of likely Democratic voters for MoveOn.org and Democracy for America. They find that Elizabeth Warren leads Hillary Clinton in both Iowa and New Hampshire. Come now, Larry, is that not reputable enough for you?
Well, you know, I don't want to dismiss that poll. It would not surprise me if the activists in the caucus states, early caucus states, don't want some excitement. It's boring. They want reporters to come up there. They want the income. They want the revenue. I understand why they would want somebody. And remember, Hillary Rodham Clinton did vote for the Iraq War, and they haven't forgotten that. So activists do perceive her as an establishment candidate. But think about it. What man is going to take the nomination away from her without women feeling that they was robbed one more time? So it's got to be a woman. The only woman it could be is Elizabeth Warren. She's just 2 years younger than Hillary Rodham Clinton. She's not a fresh face, not really. She's a boring speaker, and she's to the left of Obama, makes Obama look like Ronald Reagan. It's not going to happen. It's Hillary's nomination. It's our job on the Republican side, assuming you're a Republican or an independent who's not going to vote for a Democrat, to figure out how to beat her. She's going to be the nominee if she chooses to run. That's the only real question. Whether or not these moves, Ed, means that deep down inside she doesn't want to run. If that's the case, that's a different conversation. But I don't think that's the case. She wants to run. She will run. She'll get the nomination. The question is, who are the Republicans going to put up against her?
Larry, I only got 15 seconds left. How dare you not mention Joe Biden?
Joe Biden would love for her to slip on a banana peel and decide she doesn't want to run, but that ain't going to happen.
You better be careful. Somebody's now going to say, oh, look, Larry Elder wishes pain and agony on somebody else now just because he said it here. Larry, always a pleasure to have you on the show, and we'll definitely talk to you again soon, my friend.
My pleasure, Ed.
All right, take care. Blaming Christian leaders for the spread of radical Islam. Our next guest takes off the gloves and gets down to creating a stir, because there are those who would wonder, why is it that Christians are the one, in his opinion, who are creating a religion that wants to kill people? At least that's what we hear. It's when MidPoint continues.